if it's really discouraging, it can be remedied. So maybe we should be thinking in that direction now. It's 24 hours after that statement was made by the government official there. What should we expect them to do further if you say you're not satisfied, just as some have said they're not satisfied with that comment from the...
Well, I'm proud of the protests. I'm incredibly proud of those protesters. I'm so sad that I couldn't join because I'm in Lagos. But they have given the government a lifeline. They said we will be back because we respect the office of the president and we want to support him. So I would encourage Mr. President, look, being a president, at least by the examples we've seen across the world, and even in Africa, you look at presidents like Johnson Sirleaf, and Kagame and all of them, and Kagame was at the stadium last month when they were marking the genocide, and was there physically present with the wailing citizens. Government is not just a series of actions. Government is also a series of appearances. People must see, you can be taking action, people must see the action. So the president, the legitimate, this man won a legitimate election. He won over 50% of the votes across the country. Media, civil society, and international agencies declared it one of the more free and fair elections since 1999. The legitimacy of his election is not in doubt. What people are asking him to do now is to exercise that legitimacy to inspire the people to believe in him as he fights a common enemy.
2 days ago, the military announced that they are recruiting people. They call on volunteers to come in and join them in all of this one. Does that count for anything?
Oh yes, it certainly does count for something. I mean, as we've seen with citizen vigilantes in many parts of the Northeast, they've been very effective. Some of them are also former recruits of Boko Haram, so they have very important information. And if you remember there was a CNN interview where some of them said, unfortunately, they are not confident to come to the government because in the past, they've given the government information and they've given the military information, and obviously there are some people who are cooperating with the Boko Haram fighters because they come and attack the people who supply this information. So it is important that the government begins to reestablish that line of credibility with citizens, so we encourage that. The problem I have, of course, is why now? Look, the 276 Chibok girls are not the first set of girls or boys to be kidnapped or killed by these evil terrorists. This has been an ongoing problem. The difference this time around was not government action. The difference this time around was citizen action. Citizens demanding that it's enough now. At this point in time, you have to do something. So it's belated. As part of the reason why the government has lost credibility, but we just want safety. So anything the government does, and I praise the Minister of State, I think, for Defense, Mr. Ebaniko, for engaging with young people on social media actively. Anything the government can do to get citizens more engaged in fighting this common enemy is appreciated.
That's where I want to comment. Beyond this protest, beyond the social media, is there any other way the people can assist the government in this fight?
The government has to let us know, which is what the citizens went to ask yesterday. I mean, I'm not a security expert. I didn't come here as a security expert. And you've not seen me criticize any particular strategy that I've not had access to. Citizens are saying, we don't have enough information to help you in this fight. We don't have enough information to be inspired by this fight. We cannot just assume that you are doing something.
So such talk or information from the information center will now mold the way the people can assist.
Exactly. And I refer specifically to the information center because it was announced. The government announced. So I don't really, whatever system they use to disseminate the information is left to the government. But the government announced that there was going to be this fully functional information center. So citizens want to know how to help or even what to do. So if, for instance, we knew that, I can't use an example because I don't know anything. Nobody has shared anything with citizens. Citizens now had to impress. I mean, in Lagos yesterday, enough is enough. We went with the Nigerian Union of Teachers. We had sent a letter through Governor Fashola to the president to say, look, what is being done and how can citizens help? We've not gotten any response to that letter. So the protest yesterday was to go back to Governor Fashola and ask him if we have any response. Citizens have used every way possible. I asked nicely on Twitter to the Minister of Defense and Special Assistant to the President on Publicity, is there any progress? These people are following me on Twitter, so it's not as if they didn't see this tweet. Can we just get something that can just give us one hope and can help us have a pathway to assist? Without that, citizen pressure cannot stop until citizens are assured that things are happening, and we don't have that assurance present.
So the press briefings are not enough.
No, the press briefing
by
said
that
nothing.
joint
the first press briefing that
yeah.
has actually given me any hope was the press briefing that was held after the bombings in Jos, the unfortunate bombings in Jos. And that's the first time that there has been a physical appearance of a government official within 24 hours of a tragedy in Nigeria. Now, the reason why that had happened, of course, is because the world is paying attention to the government and citizens are putting pressure on the government. But before this, there has been an appalling lack of proactiveness in terms of engaging citizens.
Do you think it will be out of place for civil groups to come forward, maybe at any point in time, to just say, this protest is in support of our troops?
See, the problem is, these protests are not
and other than this one that's going on.
These protests are not jobless. Look, people are trying to solve problems. And the problem we're trying to solve is to keep up public pressure on the government, who is assigning the troops. Doing protests, going to the street to say we support the troops, is not what is going to encourage the troops. What's going to encourage the troops is these monies that the U.S. government reports say are being stolen to take care of the welfare of these soldiers, to ensure that their emoluments are paid on time, ensure that the families of those that have died are taken care of. That is what they need. What the soldiers who are on the ground fighting the enemy need is for their government to take care of them and to ensure that defense spending is properly channeled to the right quarters. Not for me in Lagos to be carrying a placard saying that, you know, we cannot veer into the fakika. You know, it can go fast.
Civilian JTF once dead the insurgents, and it would seem as if they weren't encouraged. So we're talking about those that would want to go that route again. What kind of encouragement should we, as a people and the government, be giving to such people?
I know that organizations across board have been working with NGOs. I remember that 2 weeks ago there was a meeting with women from the Northeast who are representatives in at the National Confer to channel funds and channel support covertly to civilian JTF. This was about 3 weeks ago, even before Bring Back the Girls became a global. So I know CSOs and NGOs have been helping to support the civilian JTF. And these are young people. I mean, there's been some human rights abuses, and that's sad, and that must be curbed. But I'm very proud of those young people, the civilian JTF and others, who are trying their best to protect themselves. They deserve all the encouragement. And so it's good that you've said this, because I know that there are a lot of CSOs. Again, I keep calling the Office of Nigeria because I'm involved in that effort. So I know that some of the officials of the Office of Nigeria have been working with local NGOs who have legs in the Northeast to support citizens like civilian JTF.
Let's end with this one. I'll kind of make it short because we're out of time. Vicky says, take your protest to Boko Haram doesn't mean physically go to Boko Haram. It means speak out against Boko Haram, which I think the Abuja protest hasn't done.
Well, it is irrelevant and ineffectual to ask people. You've never seen Americans carry placards against Al-Qaeda. They have no business with the terrorists. We have a social contract with the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and other elected officials to take care of the country. So let us think about this rationally. Do you think that we can persuade, morally convince, convert Boko Haram to release the girls? No, do you honestly think that there is any amount of moral pressure?
As I was trying to point out to Mrs. Leah Matthew-Daniels, I was trying to show that, you know, through the NUT protest, I mean, some of those placards are already being carried. What we're seeing now is that people are saying, Boko Haram, you're evil. Education.
You're saying that from the beginning.
Oh, yes, that's what I'm saying. Education, our education is a right. You know, all those kind of statements. People are just saying, can we have a lot more of that? Because some people will say that one of the things that the terrorists are also hoping to achieve is a disenchantment we should feel towards our leadership and a division, you know, cause a division amongst Nigerians, which as citizens we mustn't let show.
Well, I agree with you. They both can be contemporaneous. There is no mutual exclusivity. We can still reaffirm our right to educate our girls and stand against the principles of Boko Haram at the same time they put pressure on government to act right. So I agree with you, but again, if you look at the Abuja protest from the beginning and Lagos protest from the beginning, those placards have always been there, that Boko Haram is evil.
All right, thank you, Chude, for coming on this morning.
Thank you.
We'll be back after this. We've got another perspective coming on today on the program, so join us again if you can.